Alright, welcome to the true finale of Resident Evil 0 and Halloween Fest 2021. This is a sequel of sorts to a video I made for the Resident Evil 1 playthrough. In the Umbrella Chronicles, there are these side missions that you can play for each scenario, some of which star Albert Wesker, kind of behind the scenes what he was doing. So this is going to be kind of what was Wesker doing during Resident Evil 0. And just like last time, I'm going to linger on this menu for a while because I really want to hear this song because it is one of the best bops in all of Resident Evil. The song is called Begin Here. I would highly recommend looking it up because it is such a bop. And it's one of those songs that can bring me back instantly to when this game came out, because I listened to this soundtrack so much.
The plans to reuse the management training facility were scrapped by Marcus's unfortunate outburst. Not only that, but the incident appeared to spread the virus to the area surrounding the mansion, causing a biohazard outbreak. It is time to abandon the sinking ship that is Umbrella.
The virus is out. We can't hide this anymore.
It appears Umbrella is finished.
You're just gonna walk away? Our research isn't complete. We can make a more powerful virus.
Do what you like. The T-virus is near completion and only needs test data. That is why STARS is in place. I will bring them into the mansion.
Damn it! I better get rid of this place before there are any more complications.
So this is also kind of a nice little passing of the torch from
Wesker here. I will use the
October Halloween Fest back to Off the Record, because Birkin was voiced by TJ Rotolo in that scene. That's pretty cool. We got Frank West back on board. So this is basically just as, you know, the other one was. It's the other one for Resident Evil 1 I think is a little bit better, just because it kind of filled in a bit of story that we'd never seen before. This one you can kind of assume, like, no one was asking, wow, what was Wesker doing at the end of Resident Evil 0?
Need to get it running. The power room,
you know, Birkin, there's like they answer one thing, which is who set the timer to go off. And it was Birkin. He was just like, I'll just do this. That's it. This does set up a story later on in Umbrella Chronicles, which I might do at some point. I'll probably never play, like, all of Umbrella Chronicles, just because it's adaptations of the mainline games 0, 1, and 3. But there's also a new scenario that details the fall of Umbrella. That's pretty interesting. You know, it's got Jill and Chris taking on Umbrella, which is cool. But, you know, at the end of the day, I might not play it. I might. Who knows? I just figured this is a cool little thing to check in on Wesker. We get some kind of greatest hits locations from Resident Evil 0, and we get to cap off this series the same way that I did with Resident Evil 1. Also, the eliminators are really fucking annoying in this game, I have to say. I would also hazard a guess and say that they probably ripped these locations directly out of the game. Because, you know, the Wii was basically just a souped-up GameCube. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that. And they did put Resident Evil 1 and 0 on the Wii with the Resident Evil Archives series, which I'm shocked that they never did anything else with. It was just 2 games. I am really awful at this game, so all these levels are always going to be on easy. The boss battles in particular in all these are so awful. I hate them. It always takes me like forever to beat them. So, yeah, not a fun time for me. I'm bad at first-person shooters, and I'm even worse at railgun games. I think they're fun when they're done well, and when they're, like, accessible for someone like me, who's a complete dotard. You know, when it comes to these types of games. I just get antsy and I get really panicky. Especially when it comes to, like, picking up weapons and stuff like that. And there's some, like, side stuff in this game that I've never done in the, like, was it, like, 13, 14 years since this game came out. You have to, like, get A ranks on certain levels to unlock bonus things for, like Ada's side story and, Hunk, I think. I've never unlocked those because I'm never going to be good enough to get the A ranks in a level. And as I did mention in the beginning, I think this is one of the most slappin' soundtracks that a Resident Evil game has ever had. It's really quite phenomenal. I've had this soundtrack, like the CD of this soundtrack, since it came out, and I got my first car right around the same time that I got the soundtrack, and that was the very first thing I listened to in the car. And just a couple years ago, I finally had to get rid of that car because it was breaking down, and I traded it in for a newer car. And on my way over to the dealership, I popped in the Umbrella soundtrack and just listened to it. It was like a good little bookend. But yeah, begin here. What a good menu theme. It's so good. Whenever that comes up on my in my car when I'm listening to music, I never skip that one. I always just put that right on. Also, the Leechmen are equally as annoying in this game as they are in the actual game, if not so more annoying, because they throw more than one of them at you at a time, which I could do without. Yeah, I would say the only, like, really good thing about this game is the fact that you can kind of revisit some older locations. It's just cool to do that. I think Darkside Chronicles is a better game overall. It's way less frustrating. Because, like I said, some of the bosses in this game are really just straight up bad. And I don't have good reaction times to, like, shoot things out of the air. So there's, like, a fight with Nemesis in this game where you have to shoot his rockets out of the air, otherwise you take, like, massive damage. And I've never been good enough at that to, like, actually do it in a good amount of time, so I always end up taking damage. Darkside Chronicles, I don't think, has that as much. I'd probably be more willing to do the Operation Javier scenario from Darkside Chronicles than I would be to do Umbrella's Destruction from this game. Just because the final boss of that is so frustrating. Which is a shame, because I love Chris and Jill. It's the Patricia Jolie Jill, which is still my favorite, and it would be cool to see more of her, but, you know, it's not very fun to play for me. Also, thank God there were no Crimson Heads in Resident Evil 0. Could you imagine how annoying that would be? Having to deal with that with the limited inventory and the no item box thing? You'd have to, like, bring fuel with you everywhere. Oh, that would be so bad. There are cool counterattacks in this game, like if you get grabbed by a guy and you're able to shake it off quick enough. I don't know if I show any of those, but Wesker has a cool one. I always love to just make sure that I have everything reloaded. I'm such a stickler when it comes to that, just constantly cycling through my weapons, making sure they're reloaded. I'm not exactly sure what the timeline is here. I guess Birkin has already sent the self-destruct to go. So I guess this is taking place like at the same time that Billy and Rebecca are fighting the Queen. I guess I was technically lying when I said we'd never see the Proto-Tyrant again. Actually, yeah, let me see that. Let me see what the Resident Evil Wiki says. If the Proto-Tyrant got killed by Billy and Rebecca or by Wesker. Because on the wiki for like Lisa Trevor, because you fight Lisa Trevor as Wesker in the scenario for the first game, it says on the wiki like Lisa was last seen fighting Wesker or whatever. I guess it doesn't even say. Wait. Went on to fight Dr. Albert Wesker and Rebecca Chambers, as well as ex-Marine Second Lieutenant Billy Cohen. That fight might have taken place before? Yeah, yeah, that's what's going on. I think that this is technically taking place before Rebecca fought it, I think.
His recovery ability.
Let me see. What does the wiki say? Does it say any more? No, it doesn't really say. Let me just look it up. Maybe someone has an answer. Who fights the Proto-Tyrant first? Some interesting information here. There's not a whole lot of information out there. I'm gonna say
still needs a little more work.
That Wesker fights it before. Yeah, because this is kind of setting things up. Like, how did this car get to the other side? Okay, so Wesker rode this over to the other side, and then that's when Rebecca gets on it, and then she comes over and she fights the Tyrant. Okay, I think that makes sense. But it still doesn't explain why Birkin said he was going to start the self-destruct when he did. Also, this song is called Blackened Sabbath, I think, which, by the way, is a bad name. But it's such a good remix of the save room theme. It's so good. So we do have one more scenario to do with Wesker. And we're just gonna kind of swap out these. I forget how to level these up. I think you just have to use them and like finish levels, but that's really unclear. I kind of wish that there was more story here. You know, like, how'd Wesker get here? There's a whole area of this chapel that we just don't see him explore. I mean, I'm kind of glad, because it's the worst part of actual Resident Evil 0. So I'm glad we don't see it, but it's still really cool to see him go through these areas. Even if the gameplay is quite, you know... If you could just control the camera. If this was just a first-person shooter instead, I would be so much more on board, but that's literally not what this is. It's literally not. If this entire game switched genres, I'd be okay with it. I think my favorite on-rail shooter game is probably Dead Space Extraction. Because this one is very arcadey, which is why... You know, it gives you, like, split second to look at something before it's gone. You know, there's so many enemies on screen. Dead Space Extraction is just like a game that happens to be on rails, basically. It's a really good story in that game, too. I really enjoy that game. Maybe next year we'll play that one. But also, I don't know how interesting that would be to watch. Because you're not technically, like, controlling anything. It'd be like one big cutscene. Not that this isn't that, but you know what I mean. This is at least in a nice short burst. Also, the Umbrella's Destruction thing, I feel like they set up at the end of the Resident Evil 3 remake. I would love to see an actual game, like a spin-off game, get made that follows Jill and Chris taking down Umbrella. Like, to get a full game of that. Like, Umbrella's desperation, they throw everything that they can after Chris and Jill. Getting to explore, like, an entire game based around an Umbrella facility would be fantastic. I think that would be really cool. If I could, like, what the hell word am I looking for? If I can propose a game to Capcom, well, it would be Beautiful Joe 3, but, you know, down the list, somewhere on there would be the Umbrella Destruction game. And yeah, I don't know if that was just a tease to be like, hey, we're actually gonna adapt this into a game or something. Or if it was just like, yeah, let's just tie this into Umbrella Chronicles, because it'd be neat. Either way, you know, it's cool that they did that. It is cool to see these areas, like, you know, rendered in this game. Getting to see them again, but from, like, kind of a different view, almost. I think that's always been the appeal of the Umbrella games. Even though this game adapts games very badly. Like I said, I think Darkside Chronicles does a much better job. Like, the version of Resident Evil 3 in this game is atrociously bad. And it's a shame, because again, it's the Julia Voth Jill with Patricia Jolie's voice, which is the perfect combo of Jill. And they adapt Resident Evil 3, but it's just so bad. Not to say that Nicole Tompkins and Sasha Zatova Jill isn't equally as good, it's just slightly less good. Those two are the... I guess those four people make the best Jill. Baby, you got a Jill going. God, it doesn't take this much to kill a zombie in the main game. Get out of here. I like to think that Wesker just punched that guy and an explosion happened. I know that's not what happened, but we can pretend. We can hope, right? That was kind of a freebie. And yeah, another thing that kills me about this game are the checkpoints. They are brutal. Really few and far between. And yeah, it's also like, if I was in control of Wesker right now, I would be running around all these zombies. Like, there's no reason for him to be dealing with this guy. Not at all. Yeah, the thought of Crimson Heads in Resident Evil 0 is actually giving me agita. That's just cursed. I'm glad they never brought back Crimson Heads, just period. I was kind of curious before... I didn't mean to do that, by the way. Before Resident Evil 2 Remake was coming out, I was wondering if they were going to put them in the game. I'm glad they didn't, because it's just such a hassle. It was good for the one game, but we never needed to see it again. God, so many zombies, that'll take so much to kill. Fucking Crimson Heads. I feel like they carry over through all the campaigns. I don't remember exactly, but I feel like Crimson Heads aren't just in 0 and 1, and they might pop up in their version of 3 as well. I've never played the PlayStation versions of these. I wonder how much better they look. But I kind of always like the, Wii aesthetic of this game. The fact that it doesn't look, fantastic, I think has always helped a game like this. I don't know, that's just me being weird. But coming up, we're going to head into a cutscene that has some real anime bullshit in it. I've said before, I like when Resident Evil gets wacky, But there's a character in here, I think even wackier than the leeches that think they're a person that sing opera from the game. It's just the character design is so anime. And again, I love anime, I love when Resident Evil gets silly, but this for some reason just rubs me the wrong way, and it always has. But he is voiced by a One Piece character, so I always like that.
Where might you be going, comrade?
My next mission.
The reclamation of the management training facility was your mission. And now you're just going to walk away without taking responsibility for your failure.
The T-virus has escaped. I will detonate the facility and dispose of it.
Comrade, don't forget who's in charge. You can't just do what you feel like. Maybe you need a little reminder.
This should be intriguing.
So this is Talos. This is an annoying boss. I had to fight this a couple times before I won. He's basically just a bullet sponge. But he has so many weird attacks that you need to, like, be very quick to dodge. And, yeah, him and the other guy, I think Sergey, is that his name? I don't even remember. Anime bullshit. This guy's got, like, the dumb Geordie LaForge glasses. Like, really, he's got gamer glasses on. And the other guy looks like an anime. Like, I hate it so much. One of the reasons why I kept dying here was because I couldn't pick up that grenade launcher that's over there. It was really frustrating me. Like, every time I was just not quick enough. And I hated that. But I was finally able to grab it there. And I think that's what cinched it for me. If I didn't grab that, I probably would have died. Because there's just not enough ways to do damage to him. Again, I'm very bad at the boss battles in this game, in particular. I mean, this is just such a shitty design for a tyrant. I kind of like the idea of he's wearing, like, Mr. X's gear, but it's white. Like, I think that's kind of interesting looking. But yeah, everything else about him sucks, and I hate it. Just not an interesting character.
I guess he didn't like his lesson. Fine. We have the Talos retrieval to take care of anyway. Everything for Umbrella.
My pursuers left behind. I regrouped with the STARS Alpha team. There was no time for delays. Umbrella's command structure was in motion, and the real struggle was about to begin.
We got some really cool artwork from Shinkiro there at the end, which I really like. It's always good to see that. One of the best Capcom artists. So I was able to bring my overall rank up to a B there, so that was nice. I got a better run-throughs of this. But that is finally it for Halloween Fest and for Resident Evil 0. So thank you so very much for watching. And enjoy the rest of Dead Rising 2 off the record.